Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today we're going to be unboxing and taking a first look at the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot Deck and Guidebook. Now, as you can see, I've already taken the plastic off this deck. I was going to do a video of it in the past. I've had it for a few months, but I've hesitated on it because I was just kind of, if I'm being honest, disappointed because they did not take the time to make the minor arcana interesting. But nonetheless, this is the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot, and I am such a huge Star Trek fan, I'm going to look past that, and we're going to take a look at the cards inside of it. There you can see it says the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot Deck and Guidebook. I've got the back here, and it has the different characters on there, and they're all of the major arcana. I guess to keep you from knowing what the minor arcana looks like, so you won't know and not buy it beforehand. And there you can see it's made by Insight Addictions, who seem to have the license for all the pop culture movies and stuff that we know and love. So we'll open the box, and you can see here I'm having difficulty opening the box. There we go. And it's a very well made box. It takes very good care of the cards. Had the little strap there we can just lift out. You can see there the guidebook, which is very well illustrated and detailed. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. We'll actually get the cards out and see the different characters. Now I'll go through these cards, and if I remember their names, I will tell you, but there's a lot of times I don't watch as much TV as I used to. I don't play as many video games as I used to, so my memory of the different characters and stuff might not be as good as it used to be, but we will do our best. You can see the different illustrations, and you can decide for yourself if you want to add this deck to your collection or not. So we have Data as the Fool, and Geordi as the Magician, Deanna Troi as the High Priestess. Now all of these make a lot of sense for the actual characters. Data makes a lot of sense as the Fool because he's an android learning about humans. So he's kind of a fool because he doesn't understand emotions and stuff like that, but throughout the show he's really getting to know himself more and getting to know his human side, like his human personality. And then the Magician, Geordi LaForge, is completely blind, which is why he has this over his eyes, but he's still so talented and so able, and that little thing over his eyes gives him the ability to keep doing stuff even if he doesn't have the means necessary to do it. Deanna Troi is the ship's counselor, and she's an empath, so she kind of feels what everybody's doing and feels how everybody's feeling, so she definitely has that knowledge and understanding she can use to help others. And there's the Empress as the Doctor. Please excuse me because I don't remember the Doctor's name right now. But the Empress, she takes care of others. She cares about others. So the Doctor definitely makes sense in that position. And the Emperor is Commander Riker, who's second in command underneath Picard. So he is kind of like the leader. He's the one that takes action and stuff like that. So that makes a lot of sense. The Hierophant is the Admiral of the ship. She's not actually on the Star Trek Enterprise, which is the Next Generation ship, but she's the one that everybody looks up to and the one that kind of makes the rules and stuff. And then we have the Lovers as the O'Brien couple, which is a very popular couple on the show, so that one makes a lot of sense. We have the Chariot as the Chariot itself from the show, the Star Trek Enterprise, just flying through space. And we have Strength as Worf, the Klingon who has a human side and was raised by humans. And the Hermit, I don't remember his name either, but he is the one I believe that created the androids, the fool that we began with. So he definitely makes sense because he's the wise elderly that kind of knows how to do stuff like that. The Wheel of Fortune, and that is Whoopi Goldberg and Guinan, that's her name, Guinan in the show, and she's all-knowing and all knowledgeable because she's hundreds of years old, and she's the one that Jean-Luc Picard, the captain of the ship, who appears as Justice, definitely looks up to and talks to. Then we have the Hanged Man and Death, Temperance as Spock, I believe. Now the Devil looks an awful lot like the Fool, but the Devil is actually Data's evil twin brother, so it kind of makes a sense. It kind of shows all of us have an evil side to us. All of us have a little devil inside of us, and it's keeping that devil at bay, not giving into the addictions and vices and the evil thoughts that we might have. Then we have the Tower, which is the almighty Borg that causes havoc and reeks into the world. The Star, the Moon, the sun. The sun is, get right there, yes, that is her mom. So that's very interesting. She's positive, she's upbeat, she's in multiple series of the Star Trek. That's actually the character that, or the woman that portrays that character is actually the creator of the entire Star Trek universe's wife in real life, so that's really interesting. Judgment is Q, the almighty, all-powerful being of the universe. I believe the correct word is omniscient, and he kind of like the Borg sort of wreaks havoc in the universe, but he can do anything, he can create anything, and he's by far one of my favorite characters. Then we have the world, which is like the universe itself. And then we get to the minor arcana, and I'll go through these quickly. I don't know the characters' names, but I do know these are the Romulans. So we have the King of Cloaks, the Queen of Cloaks, the Knight of Cloaks, the Page, and then we have the minor arcana, the 1 through 10. So we have the 1, the 2 of Cloaks, the 3 of Cloaks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we have the King of Latinum, which is illustrated with the Ferengis. Well, that one's not a Ferengi, but she must work with the Ferengis, and I don't remember that episode, but most likely a character that works with the Ferengis. Then we have the Knight of Latinum, the Page of Latinum, the Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 of Latinum, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of Latinum. And then we have the King of Atlas, which are the Klingons, the Queen, the Knight, and the Page of Atlas. And I believe Worf that we met in with Strength and this character are this character's parents. I don't remember their names, but that's, like, he was definitely in the show, I do remember that. And then we have the Ace of Atlas, the 2 of Atlas, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7, the 8 of Atlas, the 9 of Atlas, and the 10 of Atlas. And that leaves us with the starship, the suit of starships, which is illustrated with the Vulcans, who look very much like the Romulans, but they're supposedly not the same species, and I definitely feel they're cousins or something. And then the Queen of Starships, the Knight of Starships, and the Page of Starships. Then we have the Ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now you can see, and if you watch my most recent last video, the Fallout Tarot deck and that Insight Editions, like, you may have noticed the minor arcana doesn't have as many details as, say, like the minor arcana of the Rider-Waite-Smith. And it just seems like such a big company, someone that has like connections with all these pop cultures and getting the licensing to make these decks, I feel like they could put more time and effort into actually making the minor arcana readable to, let's just say, beginners. Because if you're picking up this deck and it's like you're pulling your first card and you've never picked up a tarot deck in your life, then you're looking at the illustration here and thinking, what could this possibly mean? Am I gonna fly through space? That's kind of like the first thing that my intuition goes to, is like, I'm in space. And with the different names of the cards here, like starships and abatlis and stuff like that, you don't necessarily know what even suits that is to go with that. So even like a seasoned reader might have trouble with this deck, because you pull one of those minor arcana cards and you immediately have to get out the guidebook here and be like, okay, what is the 10 of starships? Is that the 10 of pentacles? Is that the 10 of wands? And you don't really know until you like get that guidebook out and you go through and you see, okay, the suit of cloaks represents adventure, ingenuity, and revelations. The members of its courts represented by the Romulans are fearless and vehement. This suit corresponds with the element fire. Okay, so we know the suit of cloaks is actually the suit of wands. The suit of latinum, which latinum is money, so this one I think I have, but it says represents finance, fortune, and laborious pursuits. The members of its court represented by the Ferengi are preserving and economical. The suit corresponds with the element of earth. So that one makes a lot of sense. If you watch the show, you know Latinum is their means of finances and money. So that makes sense for Pentacles. And the suit of Bathless, that one represents conflict, power, and judgment. The members of its court, represented by the Klingons, are powerful and keen, and this suit represents the element wind. So, Batless are their weapons, so that makes sense for the swords. So Batless equals the suit of swords. And that leaves the suit of starships, represent emotions, relationships, and imagination. The members of its court, represented by the Federation, are creative and harmonious. This suit corresponds with the element water. So starships make sense for the suit of cups. So this would be the 10 of cups and the happy family card. And you can I can see that you getting that idea, because this technically, like all the different ships you see, they're part of the Federation, which can be seen as a family. So it's like the whole family like appreciating and being happy that one another is there. But again, I feel like they could have just worked harder on this deck, really taken the time and made this an interesting card. Like the 10 of Cups is the happy family card, and you could have had like the Klingons, that one that I told you about, with the mom Klingon and the Worf Klingon and the little boy Klingon. That could have been the happy family. Or even Data and his cat, that could have worked as well. So while I'm really excited to add this deck to my collection, I am a bit disappointed in just the lack of caring it seems with the Minor Arcana. There is a look at the back of the cards, and you can see it's definitely one of those decks that you won't know if it's upright or is reversed when you pull it. But I definitely, the Star Trek world, the whole like basis of that show is connections. Like the connections we have with other people, the connections we have with the aliens that they meet throughout the show. And the tarot kind of is that as well. Like just connecting with our higher selves. And there's so much story there. I feel like they kind of just, Inside Editions dropped the ball a little bit with this deck, because there's so much more they could have done. But they say that if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And I've been on the fence about this for a while. So I do think I'm going to actually put the time and effort in it, and maybe come up with the designs, or at least the thoughts of the characters I feel would fit in that Minor Arcana, and maybe even create a Star Trek deck myself. I have no promises or guarantees of that. I definitely would have to get the licensing issues and stuff like that for it. But I do feel like there's a market for this. I mean, if this deck can exist, then people do want it. If you want this deck, I'll leave the link in the description below of where you can order it. It is an awesome deck. As I said, the card stock is very, very good. But the Minor Arcana, definitely something desired. But if you want a reading with this deck, or any of the decks in my collection, then feel free to comment on this video. Follow me on the socials. I'll leave the links to those below as well. Or you can message me on there and receive a reading, or you can book one straight from my website. As always, I really want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.